thank God for technology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you remember when we used to have to? How did we record calls those days? I don't even remember. Gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. We used to, apart from old time, we call it phone answer machines and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Or dictaphones.
That's it, dictaphone.
Mm.
That you have to call on loudspeaker or something, you know.
So, tell me, in the last time I interviewed you, that was the album.
Yeah.
To help to promote the album. What have you been doing up until now?
Since then, obviously, because when you interviewed me, it was before the pandemic, wasn't it? Not. No.
I think during.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, as you know, for about 18 months, everything was like totally dead.
Yep.
But in that time, while the pandemic was going on, I did several concert streams at the BBMC, organized by Diane, who runs the BBMC. Reggae, and on the Reggae Star platform. So we had the first one was called A Night for Lovers. Right, so we had a few lovers rock artists, Simplicity, Vivian Jones, Winston Reedy.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we had another one called Roots Corner, which was with the Little Rye, Barbara Naps, what's his name? Earl 16. And it was Winston Reedy was on that as well, but it was with Dennis Al Capone.
Okay, yes, I know. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that and Donovan King J was also on.
Yeah. I remember that.
That was a nice session. That was a very nice session, actually.
Okay.
And the Little Roy section of it was really on point. I mean, if you go on YouTube now, to me, the music, the actual recording, the audio. I mean, the video is good, but the actual audio was so on point that the videos could be released as a two track stereo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be, you know what I mean? It was just, everything was just on point. The harmonies, the musicians, everybody was just on point. And the career was on point. That was the highlight of that. After that, we did a dancehall jamboree, which featured Tipper Irie.
Yeah.
But that session has never been released for whatever reason.
Oh, right. Yeah, yes, I remember you did something, with Tipper Irie, yeah.
Yeah. So, he showed a rehearsal clip of this thing, but and in anticipation for it to be released, and it never has been. So that's been a little bit disappointing because that was quite a good show, and Tipper Irie's set was hard. It was nice, you know.
Yeah.
So a series of online shows were done during that time. Eventually, I started getting back into the studio. You know what I mean? In particular, Stingray in particular, and some sessions with so I did as you know, I did the EP with Vincent during that time as well. So I co-produced that EP with Vincent, right, and done on and arrangements as well on that particular EP. Yeah, which we were.
So that was quite good, that one. Because I promoted it. So it was very good. The music was very tight.
Yeah, and that was the musicians was our band, the All Welcome Crew.
Yeah,
and it was partly a tribute to one of our members who passed away during that time as well. Ryan Suppleman, who was our original keyboard player.
Oh.
One of the original keyboard players, Ryan Suppleman. So, he had played on some of the tracks what was recorded.
Yeah.
So we decided, we need to finish it up and get it out. I don't think there's a track he didn't. Yeah, there's probably maybe 2 tracks he didn't play on.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other tracks where he had played on what we had recorded a few years before.
Yeah.
But they hadn't been mixed and hadn't been released. So we took this opportunity to get the band together, go to BBMC, and finish off the live recordings with the band, and then and release the EP.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've done that, and
that was last year, wasn't it?
That was last year.
Yeah. Carry on. Sorry.
And in that time as well, I have done some nice studio sessions for Chronicle Studios, Hammond and Harmony, which is
yes. They're very good. Yeah.
Right. So the latest single they've come out of that studio is Joshua Kessler's.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oasis.
Yeah,
that's a really good tune. So I played guitar on that. Lead rhythm guitar. I also played lead and rhythm guitar on Rock Iceland. So the two, which was a big tune for him. Rock Iceland.
Yeah, big hit. Yeah, he won awards for that one.
Yeah. Right. So I apparently the reggae gospel stuff all the tracks that I've actually played guitar on which they produce have hit #1 in that circle.
So you're the person that everybody needs to call to get a #1.
I hope so. Right, but in the reggae gospel scene, in that whatever chart that is what they use. I think I played on 5 tracks for Hammond and Harmony, and out of Chronicle Studio, and each track which I've played on has hit #1 in that particular chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That means that's what they call an ideal combination, an ideal collaboration. Maybe that's a better word. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm always, they always bring something to, there was one, I always look forward to doing the session with them anyway, and they always look forward to doing the session with me, because when it comes to the reggae, because they've done stuff before, they've done quite, reggae stuff before and stuff like that, people to, when it comes to getting the right flavour, I'm the #1 person they call.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you've done that. So basically, we're coming forward now to this year.
Yeah.
And I know I'm leading up to the nice news, the big exciting news. But what have you been doing since January?
Well, on the end of 2021, we did a live show at the BBMC, which was called the LA Experience, and that was on the back of him winning our Reggae Star Factor, and promoting him, because we had released his new single at the time, which was Who Knows.
Yeah. LA Grey. Yeah.
Right. So that's Reggae Star Factor production. Obviously, I played guitar on that. Right, so we was pushing LA Grey, so we had a concert at BBMC, basically for him. So it was called LA Grey Experience.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right. Then earlier in the year, I think February time. Was it February time? I think that we did another concert with Rough Cut and Akabu, right, celebrating 40 years in the music business.
Okay. Oh, you've been busy, Ivan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did a concert with Rough Cut, and obviously, so it was Akadu and Rough Cut. But so I played with Rough Cut on that day.
Yeah. Well
Yeah.
done. So how was that?
It went well. Because we backed a few artists. We backed like Sandra Cross. Who else did we back on the day? We backed Sandra Cross and Arima. Yeah, in concert.
Yeah.
I can't remember who else we backed on the day, but it's definitely Sandra Cross and Arima were the headline acts on the day.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember any other solo act. Vivian Jones.
All right.
Yeah. So it was really kind of. Am I mixing this up though? Or is it a third concert?
You've been really busy.
There was another show, which is not. So the song, so we did the Rough Cut and Akabu 40 Years in Business show, where we backed Arima and Sandra Cross. Right?
Yeah.
I can't remember if we backed anybody else on that show. I don't know if Vivian Jones was part of that, but he might have been. And he might have been.
Yeah.
But then there was something to do with Brent history after that as well.
What was it called? Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And they had a panel documenting people who actually, it was like a wind rush thing, and people.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I'm gonna find out. I'll find out. Yeah.
And they're telling their stories of coming to England.
Yeah.
Right. So that Vivian Jones was like a Vivian Jones concert basically. So that was
okay.
So he was the artist. There's other people on the panel, other musicians and people who came through and told their stories about England in the late and early 70s.
Yeah.
And we were the Reggae Star Factor band then, should I say.
Yeah,
Vivian Jones in concert. Yeah, so there's 4 concerts in total from the end of December 2021 into 2022. But yeah, so all those concerts, the live concerts always happened in BBMC.
Wow.
And the streaming stuff also happened at BBMC under the
Okay, so you're a regular resident there now. You're a regular.
I have been working at BBMC for over, you have to say, over the last 35 years or so, or longer. Yeah.
Wow.
In terms of rehearsing, if it ain't, whether it's Regular Star Factor, whether it's the All Welcome Crew or a Rough Cut or Freedom Band or Renee's band. At some stage we all rehearsed at BBMC, and in that time, whether it's my band I'm working with or those other bands working with all recording, because even Vincent Knapp's very first single, right, Honeysuckle Lady, which we redid for the EP.
Yeah,
right. That's on the original version.
Oh wow!
The original version was recorded at BBMC live with Aswad.
Okay.
With my band, but parts of my band, but all working, but it was literally Aswad. They had drummers there on drums, and then the whole of all of Aswad horn section with Peter Morrison on keyboards and Martin Tata on guitar from King Sounds and Israelites and Aswad. So it literally had the whole Aswad King Sounds band playing on that track.
Mm-hmm.
On the Saturday. You know what I mean?
Okay. Wow.
And that was back in 1987. 86, 87.
Wow.
And I've been like rehearsing and jamming at BBMC from back as far back as like 19. I knew about BBMC from as far back as 1981, but in terms of jamming at BBMC, going back as like 82, 1983.
Gosh.
So like 39 years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, so BBMC has been a part of my like go-to place or music.
Yeah. It's a regular in your life. Yeah.
Since I was a teenager.
Okay. Well, so thank you for bringing us up to date. So, okay, you received a very important call, I'm presuming, when the next piece of important event. April,
at the end of March, I got a call to, or in Marchish, in the middle of March, I got a call to dip for one of the guitarists at the Get Up Stand Up musical in Lyric Theatre.
How did that come about, Ivan?
That came about.
Not saying that you shouldn't get it, because definitely, if anybody should get a gig like that, it's you. But how did it come about?
Well, the bass player, Derek Taylor. I went to see the show when it first opened in October 2021.
Yeah.
And I also found out through the grapevine that my friend Derek Taylor, who's on playing bass on that.
Yeah.
And we actually went to school together also. So and we was in a band together differently as well.
Yeah.
So when I after the show, I also met him at stage door. And we were just having a chat, and he was saying to me, well, I mean, somebody like me probably might make a good dip on a show like this. So he goes, you never know. He said to me at the time, you never know your time may come. I'm going to loosely drop the name, because people know you're kind of well known.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop the name in and see what happens. So he did a little name drop, and I left it at that. Really, there was I got a text about say a few months later, because this originally was October 2021. And so like February, early March, text say your name is being called in like consideration for using it as a depth for this. So it's kind of keeping it on.
Using you as a, what was that?
Yeah. They call it a depth. DEP. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So just basically just keep your eyes on. It is over.
Yeah.
You might get caught. But that was just a text, basically.
Yeah. So what did you think when you saw the text?
Yeah, I thought, if your car comes, it'd be good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like someone that it was just a text to say your name was being called.
Yeah.
In discussion, basically.
Yeah. Right. So you don't hope until you know. Yeah.
It was just like it was mentioned in discussion. I heard.
Yeah.
You never know it, so you might get a car. And a few weeks ago, after that, I actually did get a call to say, that he was the guitarist who required me to cover for him. He gave me a call and said, I knew him differently as well. I know him as well, but I'm not on the same level as a bass player because we're in different circles. And he called me and said he would like to me to cover for him. He said he's got some dates where he's not going to be able to make it, and if I could so basically dip for him.
Yeah.
I said, Yeah, so and that's how I got the call initially. It's basically word of mouth initially. Then
Yeah.
Him also knowing who I the guitarist who called me eventually actually knew me.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't friends as such like that, but we used to do. I used to work with another band called Reggae in the City. We used to every Thursday in Rum Jungle Cotton's restaurant.
I've been to Cotton's. Yeah.
Right. So every month, once a month on a Thursday, we used to do a open mic thing, and it was fire.
Yeah.
It was just like the best thing. It was way. People, my mama was doing their thing, but it wasn't on par with what we were doing.
Yeah.
And everybody was talking about it. Everybody was, and it was like. So he saw me there on a regular basis, and he really enjoy it, and he remembers me. I met him before that, though.
Wow. Yeah.
Because he plays. I remember him playing in church and stuff. Like he's more of a jazz guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I knew him before, but he used to turn up on a Thursday when we was performing on Reggae in the City, and we had a really tight unit.
Yeah.
And Peter Honeygate was the host, and all the artists came everywhere, and all the artists came. So you basically was getting a show every month, once a month for free.
Yeah.
All you needed to do really was buy drinks at the bar. So it was a wine bar and restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah. So that's how. So he was quite confident in using me because he's seen me several times on
yeah.
You know.
So how long were you asked to be on that particular project?
Initially, I was giving like a month, kind of like a month's notice.
Right.
But because. What happened? At first, he gave me some earlier dates, so I was supposed to do like the first week of April, and then he changed his mind, and then he said, no, you don't have to. I ain't gonna do. I'm gonna push you down to the 12th and 13th of April.
Okay.
Right. So when he told me the first week in April, that was obviously inside March.
Yeah.
Right? So, which I was, in a way, it worked out for the better because I had more time to study the music because being in the theatre, it's not like working in a band where you can get the music and learn it and go and rehearse. When you're looking for somebody in the theatre, there's no rehearsal.
Wow.
Well, in this situation.
Does that mean deputizing?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I'm just making sure I understand. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. It's basically, just standing in for the main person.
Yeah.
Right. So, there's no rehearsal. You just get a wad of sheet music and to learn that. And I don't read music. I know the theory. I mean, I know it. I mean, I say I know it. I know the basics.
Yeah, you must do. Yeah.
Right and now because I used to play in orchestra at school and stuff like that. So I know how to follow chords and stuff like that from a sheet. But in terms of having to read individual notes.
Yeah.
And the treble clef and all the rest of it, and and time signatures and all that. The last time I did anything like that would have been at school.
Wow.
So in terms of, I haven't had to read music. Even at school, I didn't really have to do it. I taught it. I was taught it at school, and so I knew where the notes were and on this treble clef. I knew the one thing what stayed with me is knowing where the notes were. Right, so I knew where the notes were. But in terms of reading that, sight reading, like the same way we're talking, right? No, I ain't done. I mean, I never did that. Never did that.
Yeah.
So this was a massive, much bigger challenge than anything I've ever done.
Yeah.
Much big. I mean, I've done long tours on bus tours and stuff like that, and being in several countries around the world, and even being the musical director for Soul, which for RFUK. I don't know if you were there.
Yes, I was working with them at the time.
So I was put in charge of putting the band together for that.
That's right, I remember.
You know, and I put the band together. I had to learn all the music.
Yeah.
And everybody's parts because I was MD.
Yeah.
And I was just had to be on top of everything. And that was like some like stressful.
Yeah,
work.
Major stress. It must have been, yeah.
Because it wasn't on the day of the sound check. The person who was supposed to provide the backline hadn't turned up.
Oh, God.
The house engineer needed to talk to somebody to know how many monitors we need to use and how many lines they needed.
Yeah.
Now, that wasn't my job, because my job was to rehearse the band. Right? Fortunately for me, being in the business so long and having audio engineering knowledge, because I actually studied musical instrument technology.
Okay.
And I also did audio, electric and audio equipment at college. And I did instrument, I did music instrument technology at uni. Right? So I'm a postgraduate.
Yeah.
Right? And just playing live and understanding the, because I was able to communicate with, because the persons who were supposed to be there were not there.
Yeah.
I was able to communicate with the house engineer, tell them how many lines we need. They now found out that they only got a certain amount of monitors. We needed about 9. They had about 4. I mean, managed to get utilize a 5th one.
Yeah.
And I had to make a decision of who's going to share monitors and who's going to, where the monitors going to go.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Right? We had that trio, Harmony, Rowena and her band, True Identity. They were singing the backing vocals. So I normally there are 3 monitors between them, or I had to do them, and so forth. And I had to make these decisions. It was nothing to my job, and I had to work out the stage. There was no stage plan. But because of experience being able to performing, I knew what to go with. I was able to tell the stage manager, the house engineer, where I wanted the equipment, where the keyboard's supposed to be, where the vocals are going to be, where the drums and
this was for Legacy, yeah? This was.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that was
that's
exactly.
Right, yeah.
None of that was supposed to be my job. That's nothing to do with me. That part of it is nothing to do with me. But
I know, but this was for that event. This that event, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly that. I had that event. But So that was a very stressful.
I can imagine.
Leading up to it, the rehearsals for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even at the sound check, we had to go and get. When the guy did come, he didn't come with usable equipment. So equipment had to be drums had to be got from Crystal Palace and another amp and
I remember.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So it was stressful. And this particular gig now that the get started, this was more stressful than that.
Yeah.
That was more stressful because there's no rehearsal.
Yeah.
You have to come in and basically with the music and listen with monitors, in-ear monitors, sit with the band, because you don't really play on stage when on that particular show.
Yeah.
There's some of the musicians do go down on set pieces.
Yeah.
Right? But generally speaking, the whole band is not present until the last 3 tracks of the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So you're not actually on stage performing with the actors. You're upstairs in like a den, almost like a rehearsal room with the rest of the band.
Yeah.
Right. And sitting down with sheet music in front of you and following the score when the MD will cue the band when to play the certain parts. So just run along with the dialogue. So you have to listen to the dialogue, follow the dialogue on stage.
Yeah.
Which sometimes then, because it's musically, so certain things lead into song and a certain atmospheric songs which are broken down.
Yeah.
So even though it was a Bob Marley thing, which we're in terms you think you're familiar with it because you grew up on listening to Bob and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of the music was rewritten to suit the play. Right, so there was key changes different from the original in certain songs. A lot of the melodies what I was asked to play, which is written to play, they're not on the record.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I know jamming inside out, but what's being written? And one, it was changed. I'm using jamming as an example.
Yeah.
The key is just a different key from the original. The melody lines with the guitar, there's 2 guitarists, the guitar 1 and guitar 2. I was guitar 2. So there's all these picking lines which are not on the record. So even though I'm familiar with the song, I'm not familiar with what they've written. And in a different key as well. Yeah. So I have to learn all of these parts and work out. I had to get a friend of mine whose sight reads to work out the time signatures of all these things. And I managed the guitarist who asked me to rep for him. He sent me the audio of the actual show. So I had to then listen to the parts which were worked out for me, then cross-reference it with the music to make sense of what I was looking at, and then follow that, learn it at home, and learn it with the audio of the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then, okay, how many hours is that per day?
Oh, man. I mean, so it's like me coming home from work and then having something to eat. Having something to eat. I was literally talking about now, like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock from this time of the evening. Yeah. Literally from about 7 onwards to about 2 o'clock in the morning before I stopped.
What?
Yeah.
And that's at home?
Yeah, at home, yeah.
And then what time do you have to wake up to go to work?
I have to wake up in about 4 hours, 5 hours after that. So I wake up 7 o'clock.
Oh my gosh. So how many days did you actually appear on the stage?
I did 2 nights back to back, the 12th and the 13th of April.
So how many hours would you say that you had to put in to be able to perform? I would say, I don't know, because I rehearsed for about 10 days straight, going up. What?
So
2 days back to back.
Yeah, I did 2 days back to back. Was about, in total, it was just over 4 hours.
I'll never complain again.
Whoa. Right. So in the amount of hours I put in, because like at least 6 hours for 6 hours of that evening. On average, I've probably put in about 100 hours, I would say, for
those 2
4
days.
Hours. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. In hindsight, is there anything you would do differently?
Yes. In hindsight, I would start earlier. I would start rehearsing, learning the parts earlier. Because I started actually learning the stuff 10 days before. When I actually got the date, the actual date for the 12th and the 13th, that was like 10 days. That confirmation was 10 days before the show.
prior to that, there was no confirmation. So I was kind of in between. I was learning it, listening to it. I wasn't really putting in the work.
Yeah.
Because
you didn't have the confirmation.
I didn't really have the confirmation. I'd come in to listen. I've listened, and learn what's going on. And plus, it was hard to put in the work initially because I had to learn to read. Right, and the only way I could have, there wasn't time to learn to read, to decipher everything by myself. So I had to get help to do that. So I said I had to get one of my friends who does sight read keyboards and recorded the parts for me. And then I was able to start to learn how to transpose that via ear, and then sight read the notes. So I started so I could recognize what I was doing. So I had to self teach myself to read music from that way, learning it by ear, and then actually looking at the score, and then working out all the notes on where they are on the guitar, where middle C is on the guitar versus where it is on the piano, and where it is on the score and stuff like that, and knowing where the high notes are to where the low notes are on the treble clef.
That's it's really good though that you didn't let anything stop you from achieving your goal. You know what I mean? Even though I know it must have been very tiring, you didn't let it stop you.
No, it was definitely tiring and stuff like that. Force myself to go to bed, especially when I wasn't up. I just to repeat.
Yeah, because you're a hyper. Yeah.
Repeat stuff all the time, just trying to make it sink in what I was playing.
Yeah.
And it's a really tough environment because there's no. The band, the main members get to rehearse. Yeah. Because they get to rehearse before they actually do the show, right?
Yeah.
But as someone who comes in and says that you don't get to rehearse, you just get a sheet music.
You can't do it there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're going on the and you're literally on a spotlight and expected to do play every note perfect. So it's like you feel like a computer really. So being programmed. And then when you go in, you press play, and MD wants to hear what's on the paper. Basically.
Yeah.
So there's no room for improvisation and such. They don't want to hear that. They just want to know what you play, what they've written in the time signature they've written it.
Did you do you feel that this has taken you up a level in what you know?
Yeah, I mean,
has it added to you as a musician?
Yeah, I mean, because it's a different kind of discipline. It's a different kind of discipline, and prior to that, I never used in-ear monitors. I don't like using in-ear monitors anyway. I don't even use for leisure. I don't even actually use headphones or cushion going in my ears. Even my Bluetooth hangs on my ears. It's not Bluetooth I use.
Yeah.
It's not something that goes inside my ear. I don't like this stuff because it makes my ears hurt.
Yeah.
So, but you have no choice. You don't have no choice to use it in that environment. You have to use in-ear monitors. So that's how they do it.
Yeah.
Right, and because you have to be, when you actually go on the stage, you can't have headphones. You have to have discrete monitors plugged into your back on TV. Wireless thing clipped to your waist. Yeah. Wow. So it's a totally different discipline, and it makes you have to be a bit sharper. Yeah. And what you're doing. I haven't looked at any music since that. But if I got called again, I reckon that I would be if I rehearse and practice for like a solid week. It wouldn't be so difficult because at least I know what's on the paper now. I know what's on the paper. You know what I mean?
So you would pick it up quicker now.
Yeah, I'll pick it up quicker now. I know what's on the paper. I know it's expected of me. And
I was just going to ask you if you'd do it again, but obviously you would. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it again. You know, because it was my first time, and you know that, and plus not just that, the equipment which I was using right? In terms of, because you have to have, everybody's got their own independent sound monitoring, like where they sit, where you sit, right? Now, where it gives you access to like the drums, the keyboards, other guitarists, bass, and whatever, right? Now that was set to the other guitarists. It wasn't set to how I want my monitoring. So I had a disadvantage on the first day because there's no sound check to say, can I have the balance the way you would like it? There's no sound check. You know, I'd have to use his own. The guy's foot pedal. They don't allow you in that industry. Sorry, you see, like we're doing a show, right? And there's more than one band, for example. And you know, like a big festival, whatever. The band who's going to come in on after me, they might use the same amp as me, right? But he ain't going to use my foot pedal. He's going to use his own effects, right? And there's not really much of a problem in plugging in his own effects and then get what they call a line check and get a quick balance, and away you go, right? Once they get the sound, what they get in the theater, they do not want to change that. So I wasn't able to. On the second day, I was told to use the other guy's guitar. I wasn't allowed to use my effects pedal at all. I had to use his one,
God.
and it wasn't really programmed to. When I looked, it wasn't necessarily programmed to how the sheet music was. Right? And I rehearsed the show using my foot pedal. You understand? So that was a disadvantage as well. So and then I had to play the guy's guitar, which is a totally different feel from mine because I play a Fender Stratocaster and he plays a Gibson. They look different and they feel different, and I've done they sound different, right? But the sound engineers had EQ'd his way for his guitar and his setting, and in my world, right, changing the guitar and changing the foot pedal, the effects pedal, ain't a big deal. It's just, you know what I mean, if the guitar sounds a little different, you just if it needs more bass, you put more bass on it. If it needs the level comes down, and it's a minor, but no, it's like the cardinal sin to change anything they spend. You know? So that's the thing I had to learn about that industry. Once they set what they set, you know, for them it's a much bigger deal in terms of changing gain for a different guitar or a different effects pedal. But I had to learn that's how they do it, and understand that's how they do it in that way. And
so, I was just going to ask, do you think that experience has opened the door to more opportunities of that nature?
But I hope so. I mean, because there's certain sets of musicians you don't see. Right. You meet people who's on like international work with big artists, and I mean like Amy Winehouse and other major artists. You meet musicians who's on a different international level. You know. So even though I'm like known to everybody else in this industry, right? There's another industry out there where you get exposed to. Yeah. So I would have got exposed to you know, because this is the theatre world, and some of those people who play in the theatre, they also play with you know, major artists, right? So your name gets you get exposed. Your name gets dropped around in that circle.
Well, what's nice is that, you know, you can say to people nothing is impossible. Do you know what I mean? From where you started to where you are now, anything can happen. You know, I mean, for the good. You know?
Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day,
playing in the West End is a dream to a lot of people. It's like you're just going to think something you're going to never do. One, prior to this, there's never been reggae in the West End.
No.
They've had some Bob Marley plays in Birmingham and stuff like that before, which is like different, and they were more sing along musical type thing as opposed to telling Bob Marley's story. This particular Get Up Stand Up, it actually tells Bob Marley's story from birth till he passed away.
Oh wow! Okay.
So it's way more detailed, and the songs are arranged to reflect his life in that way. It is not a sort of jamboree thing where you're just gonna people just singing some Bob Marley classic.
No, it's
not that at all. It's a complete biopic or biography.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. So what's on the cards for Ivan now?
I mean, now obviously I was initially working on the new album, the second album.
Yes.
Right. Which, because of that, I had to put it on hold because there's no time to do it.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll get more time to go back into that at the moment. Right now, we're given a project for Star Vibes, where I've been working with Star Vibes for a while in terms of he sent me rhythms and I put guitar on them, but he's given me a project to actually rebuild rhythm for him. So I'm in doing that. Hopefully that will go successful and then I'll get more work from that. But I don't want to get involved too much in building stuff from scratch. I really want to, because that would take away the time for me to work on my album.
Your album,
You know?
So when do you think your album might be coming out? What's your hope?
Initially, at the beginning of the year, I was thinking to have the album built by the summer, but it's summer now. So it's really hard to say because there's a lot of work to do. But there are some tracks which are pre-recorded, which I've done in Stingray, which we are really used, right? And then I have a couple of original material which I really used as well. There's a long way to go before the album. So it's more looking close to the end of the year and stuff like that. You know?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, Ivan, thank you for stopping by. And your latest venture. I'm still expecting great things. Definitely looking forward to the album.
In the meantime, I have been actively recording differently there, not for the album, but studio sessions. I mean, I've been working with Mafia and Fluxy a lot and sticking with that. And I have done also Chronicle Studio. You know?
What? Since the theatre?
Well, since the theatre, I haven't done anything with Chronicle.
No, that's what I'm saying. No,
since the theatre, I have been in the studio.
Oh, you have been in the studio, right?
Yeah, since the theatre, I've definitely been. I was in the studio on Wednesday. Yesterday. So I was on the nice recording session. So I've done a lot of work for Mafia and Fluxy in recent weeks, and I was recording with Mafia and Fluxy yesterday. So I've still been quite active in terms of studio work.
Okay. All right. Well, that definitely will be recorded.